What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. And today we're going to be continuing the review series of A Nightmare on Elm Street. And now we're at part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Let's talk about it. So, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. This is the black sheep of this franchise for sure. And also I think this is, in my opinion, this film has a very Halloween 3 vibe to it. You know, Halloween 3 is a departure from the first two in that franchise. They move away from Michael Myers. They move away from Haddonfield. Now they're talking about Silver Shamrock masks. Halloween 3, not like the first two Halloween movies. Just like this one. And this is the second film in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. This movie does not feel like it belongs in this franchise. When you watch through this whole series, part 2 always feels like the outlier because it kind of is. You know, this movie is also very gay. This is a very gay film, and it would probably go over well with a lot of people today if it would have came out in 2025 rather than 1985. You know, maybe that holds it back a little bit. You know, audiences write it off, you know, because of that reason alone. But I don't hate this movie. I think this movie is still watchable. It's not a bad film. It's not a terrible film. There's a lot of things you can still take from this film and appreciate. So yeah, let's get into it. Point of reference, I watched this movie, like I said in the previous review, I watched this film when my mom bought the DVD set. It had the first 4 films in the franchise in that set, and I was watching through all those movies. And as a kid, part 2 was weird. Part 2 was weird for me. I didn't know about the context within the movie at that young age. I didn't really know, you know, how could I, right? I was watching these movies for Freddy Krueger, for Christ's sake. That's why I was watching these movies for. I didn't really look into the subtext like that. You know, I still enjoyed the film for what it was. But now as I'm older, I know a lot of things that have happened since the release of this film regarding Mark Patton, who plays Jesse, the main character in this movie, and what he had to endure, you know, since he's a gay man. But this movie is still worth your time. It's still worth watching. As far as what I like about Freddy's Revenge, Freddy's look in this movie is amazing. They stepped up from the original, and in effects, you know, how he looks, and he looks menacing. This is, like, in my opinion, out of these first original films in the 80s, part 2's makeup is the best one. Part 2's look is the best look of Freddy Krueger. You had the red contact lenses, you have the hooked nose, he has this sweaty, moist look to himself. It looks great. It looks great. This film also has a bunch of underrated shots, in my opinion. You know, you have the beginning scene when Jesse's on the bus and there are the 2 girls up there in the front of the bus and Jesse's in the back, and you know, bus drivers dropping off all the other kids on the bus, and it's just down to those 3. And then things go haywire. The bus starts to go into this desert area, and Jesse and 2 girls are afraid, and it turns out to be Freddy Krueger. You know, they stop in the middle of the desert, and it's like the bus is held onto these little rock things, like a seesaw. Really, the bus is a seesaw on top of these things. My favorite shot from this movie is when, after the pool massacre, when Freddy's into the real world, he's out of the dream world, which doesn't make a lot of sense to people, and I understand that, but I dig it, you know, because this is the only time Freddy does something like that. But after all that happens, Freddy looks at Lisa's dad, Jesse's love interest in this film, and after looking at him, he looks at the crowd, and he starts to walk towards the teenagers. He just walks to the wall, and the wall just bursts into flames, man. But that's cool to me. I love that shot. Editing Bran here, and ladies and gentlemen, how can I forget about the most infamous scene from this film? You know, Freddy's at the pool party, and he's doing his thing, and he stops because there's this guy that's trying to, I guess, talk Freddy out of doing this, and then Freddy's like, "Bro, help yourself," and slices him and throws him across the grill, and then he looks at the teenagers at the party, and he's like, "You are all my children now." Like, how can I forget about that? But yeah, The demon dogs towards the end of the film, that's unsettling. They are creepy as hell to me. They have like human faces, Rottweilers with human faces. That effect creepy. You have the "you've got the body, I've got the brain" scene between Freddy and Jesse in Jesse's nightmare at the house. It's just like all these things are like iconic, like from this film. To me, they're iconic. People may write them off as it's whatever because it's from this movie, but those things I enjoy. I enjoy those scenes from this movie. The ending to this movie is also great. The way this movie ends is probably one of the best endings in this franchise, in my opinion. Freddy just begins to melt, and it's just great. I love it. I love that ending. The effect of Freddy's face just melting away. Great, like a candle. Also, I think Jesse is a very underrated character. He's a very underrated lead in this franchise. And people write him off because Mark Patton, who plays Jesse, is gay in real life. And you can just look past that if that bothers you or whatever. It doesn't bother me as long as he can act. That's what matters. And he has great acting ability. He makes everything believable. What he's going through, the fear of Jesse, afraid of Freddy coming out of him, is just believable. You believe him. Like, he makes Freddy seem like a threat, and that's what makes this film what it is, in my opinion. It's like a strong lead makes for a strong story, and Jesse's fear of Freddy Krueger is very believable and translates from the movie to the audience very well, in my opinion. And also, sticking with Jesse, he has the best family in this franchise. Jesse has the best family dynamic in this franchise. Now, you may be thinking, best family dynamic? What is this guy talking about? What I'm saying is, Jesse's parents really care about him. His father's showing him tough love throughout the film. He's a little harsh on him. When Jesse's brought home by the police officers from the bar, Jesse's father is like asking him, "Okay, son, you're on drugs. Tell me what you're taking and tell me who you're getting it from." And also during the bird scene, when the bird is crazy, it breaks out of the cage where it kills the other bird in the cage, and it breaks out of it, flying all over the place before it just explodes. Jesse's father, he thinks that Jesse did a prank. He fed the bird a firecracker, which he didn't, but it's that tough love. Like, his father is involved in his life. Same with his mom. She has a caring side to her. But yeah, man, I think Jesse has the best family in this franchise. His parents are very supportive, better than Nancy's parents, better than Kristen's mom, better than Alice's dad in the franchise. And like, best parents in this franchise, in my opinion. As far as what I didn't like about Freddy's Revenge, I think this movie has the least rewatch value in this franchise, in my opinion. I find myself skipping this one. Whenever I come back to it, I enjoy it for what it is, but I go from the original to 3 to 4, and then skip, maybe watch 5, but skip 6 and straight to New Nightmare. But yeah, man, it may be a one and done for most people, like, especially like if people have an issue with Jesse's sexuality or whatever, and they let that bother them, that they'll just completely disown this movie and just say it doesn't exist. They didn't have a part 2. It's just the original Nightmare on Elm Street and part 3. And I don't look at it that way. So whenever I come back and see this film and watch this movie for what it is, I enjoy it. But I do skip it because I prefer the Freddy Krueger that is comedic and scary. And you get that in 3. But yeah, guys, that's it. Those are my thoughts and opinions about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me if you think this is the black sheep of this franchise or not. If you enjoy it for what it is, like, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more reviews coming out soon. I'm gonna get through this franchise. I'm gonna try my best. But yes, guys, until next time, I'm Bran. Thanks for watching. Peace.